Just sorry.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. I'm here in place of Jason as he is on a cruise, and I hate him very much right now. No, just kidding. And Sarah's out of a doctor's appointment. So we've got 2, 4, 5 for a quorum. So we're good to go, Cheryl.
All right. Item 3.1 is Hillcrest Park. As you know, we're turning the Hillcrest Elementary School into a park. It's located at, and that's not 2400 South, it's actually 1400 South. So it is in Orem, not Provo, which that would be. This is where it's located. This is a site plan showing where the new amenities will be and the walking paths and all that good stuff. This is an overlay of what's existing. So you can tell that there's an existing school right now. Tear down most of the school, they'll keep the new building. I think I wanted to show this one. Yeah. And I mean, they'll keep the new gym. There's a newer gym, a newer part of the building. They'll keep that. The rest of the school will come down and the rest of it will be made into a park. So we did have a few issues. Water had a few, after like 4 reviews, water had more reviews, but I think Lane was going to say that.
Yes, so Sean and I actually chatted with Ryan Betts, the CMT. CMT is the engineer, civil engineer on this project. Chatted with him about these water connections here. We wanted to make sure it was clear on our plan. And Chris, you made these notes, but we wanted to make sure it was clear so that water crews, city crews, can install it the way they want it, okay? So city crews will do all the installation of the water line, the sewer line. So we can tell the crews the rest that they can install it exactly how they want. But he, meaning Ryan, will make these adjustments on the plan and send us another plan. But I told him also, Cheryl, that not to resubmit it.
Okay.
For a further review, as much as this was the 4th review.
And then there were
If that's okay.
three issues from David about
Yes.
overlapping the
So
drainage with the water
the
lines.
Actual flow, there's a note there indicating the flow is the wrong way. Actually, it is the correct way.
It's down here at the bottom.
Storm water line there, or the stormwater line there going east and west, if you will, from the storm tech system, will need to flow to the west. It does not flow back to the basement. And then the flow from the future well, a 21-inch RCP, and from the future well needs to flow south as well to that box there on the very southwestern corner. Then from there, Kyra, our engineering, will design the 1400 south storm line. Take it so that is correct. The other 3, 4 locations actually, where there may be a conflict with the storm line and the water line, he will make sure that clearances are identified, and he will have an installation flow line for water crews as they will install the wall lines. President, you can pass that along, and you'll have a plan that will identify that.
That's what Sean and I discussed as well, that and same thing what we're
Laying that swale right there that has the pipe running down it. Originally, we had a comment about trees going in there and not going to be able to put trees in with a pipe in that.
They moved the pipe to the
So-
west out of the swale.
So that gives us enough room to put trees in. We'd hoped it would not be under the planter at all, but it still is. It looks like.
So
It's this
do we
one.
want to suggest moving that out into the roadway?
We had in our prior comments, but it doesn't look like they wanted to, or maybe they couldn't do it. So that's one thing. I don't think we would put trees in that planter strip with that pipe there, even if it's been shifted to the side.
I can certainly chat with Ryan to see if he can shift it to the east, totally out of the swell. That's something preferred.
I think we need to see if it can be done, because
I'll chat with him.
it's going to be an
That would
issue.
mean that the box on the southwest would move east as well.
I'm sure there's a reason they haven't moved it, because we were pretty clear to them. We just.
Was that, was that in a previous review?
The last one,
review.
the third review.
We also asked the engineers to make sure they didn't have trees over any of the other utility pipes, and I don't know if they did that
Yeah, I
conflict
know that,
analysis.
I know that CMT and Blue are doing that.
Okay.
I do know that part.
Their comments back said that they had worked with the landscape engineer. They not only moved the drain over out of the swale where the trees were, but they changed the variety, is that the word, of tree
So
that they're
maybe-
putting in the swale.
Maybe they're okay to go there then.
So at least
Okay.
they were talking to the landscape before they weren't.
I just want to make sure Rick doesn't have to clean roots out of that pipe.
So
All the time.
Cheryl, based off your comment there,
We
then
appreciate it.
with the conversation between CMT and Blue Line, that has been addressed, so that was.
In their comments, it was, yes, on the responses back.
So I need not chat with CMT yet, right?
So what it sounds like, yeah. If they change the species, maybe they're a smaller tree that won't.
All right, so I can get this back. I think I lost my,
Yeah, that'll be a water
This is-
section issue moving forward for life. That's the flush line for one.
That's right. I guess that's not your worry, Rick. Never mind. Kind of is though, right?
I'm sure
It's gravity
you
line.
back somewhere.
Any other questions?
we got Lane here so he can answer anything if you have them.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan Hillcrest Drive, located at 661 East 14 South, in the R7.5 zone.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, next one, Housing Authority of Utah County and Canyon Breeze. 380 East, 40 North. Thanks, Lane.
Thank you.
This is where it's located. Off of 400 East. This is the existing property. It shows there's six, if you can see there's six, there's five, no, there's six, I'm sorry, built smaller buildings and then one larger building over to the southeast. So what they want to do, these are the major points of what they want to do. There's currently 57 units in that main building that was by itself. 21 units are studio units and 36 are one-bedroom units. And so what they want to do is amend the agreement for this property. Right now it's for 55 plus, and then the main building was assisted living. So they want to change that assisted living building, which has 57 units in it, to 21. It has 21 studio and 36 one bedroom. They want to take those 21 units and have them for autistic adults that are over 18. So in order for them to do that, according to the agreement, they have to change the agreement to release the 55 plus age restriction for the 21 studio units and remove the assisted living component of the entire building. So they'll still be 55 plus, they just won't be assisted living. So what they want to do with those studio units is provide housing to students or alumni of Scenic View Academy out of Provo. And then the remaining 36 one-bedroom units will continue to operate as 55 plus. They will provide property management, and they'll have a typical 12-month lease. So by releasing the age restriction on those 21 studio units, it'll be open to anyone 18 years of age or older, and SVA is going to be referring their graduates or students who are about to graduate to this facility. They are self-sufficient, but they will provide a resident case management staff as needed to assist them. And then if they are unable to fill those 21 units, then they have to keep a 95% occupancy. So if they'll have the option to lease those to other students who are not from the SVA, with the autism. One of the questions that has come up is with parking. The Utah Housing Authority has agreed that they will only have one person per unit because parking is an issue. So if they have multiple, then they don't have parking issues. So the question is, do we want to have that be part of the agreement that they're amending, have this a second amendment to the agreement, or have it be part of a planning commission or city council condition? So they did have a neighborhood meeting. The neighbors were fine with it. They did have some questions. I guess they're using that building also as a part of a church, a chapel for Sunday services. So they wanted to know if that would continue. And I don't remember what their answer was on that. I don't remember what the answer was on that question as to whether that would continue to be used.
Can you zoom in on their questions? Is it a way to look at that?
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like they will continue to provide it for any denomination. Just give you a minute to look over those.
Okay. So they planned, the original did it January, but they planned to deliver on or around December 1st.
Okay.
So 2 weeks from when.
My little grandfather.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really make sense. The age restriction will only apply to the studio apartments in the main clubhouse. In the main clubhouse, this will be 21 units.
So those are the 21 studio units.
So what age restriction are they talking about?
So because right now it has to be 55 and older, they'll take that restriction off on those so that the 18 to 32-year-olds can live there.
Oh, their new
With
age
the
restriction is 18 to 32.
With the autism
But if they don't have enough autistic schools, they're going to rent them out to anyone.
to
in that
55
age
older.
group. 55 and older, or 18 to 32 in the studio apartments.
I think they said that they would do it with. That's a good question.
18 to 32 only applies to people on the spectrum, right?
In the
So if they don't find enough tenants, then we'll revert back to 55 plus. But I don't understand it.
So just look at that. The housing will have the option to place individuals from their waiting list into the vacant studio unit. So I don't know about the age. I think they said at one point that the 55 plus would have priority, but that doesn't mean that they would be exclusively for them. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't pick up.
No.
It says like they're releasing the age restriction on the 21 studio units. Those units will be open to anyone 18 years of age or older. So I guess it could be open to anyone over 18. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in the spectrum.
Yeah, just those studio. You're right. Steve is working with them on this, so I've kind of been on the outside. I haven't been in on the agreement. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm actually a little bit confused as to how we're gonna have a cap at 32. Because on the next page, we go back to the questions. They seem to be an answer that they were gonna be limiting it to 18 to 32-year-olds.
That's that's who gets referred from that Provo autism school.
When they turn 33, they're not getting kicked out.
I don't think so.
And I just want to make sure that that seemed like an interesting little weird wrinkle to that.
We had kind of a interesting phone call with him last week before the holiday, in which it was represented to us on the phone call that they were going to rent those units out to anyone if they couldn't film with autistic kids, they could put anyone.
And so any 19-year-old kid, regardless of any neuro,
I don't think there was an age at all associated with it.
or neurodiversity is a requirement.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So I was under the
No.
impression you could have a 44-year-old single man put in there with 18 to 32-year-old autistic kids. That's what I'm a little unclear on.
I think, yeah, Aaron's been working with Steve, so I was hoping he could be here because I know Steve's on vacation this week and you get stuck.
Yeah, I'll follow
Fortunately.
up with Aaron and Steve on this.
I know that Steve sent the development agreement to Jeremy with this group last week, and they're kind of, I guess, is there any hurry in this being decided today? Can we push this back to next week?
You can continue it.
Because we're not going to go to planning commission until
It would have to be
we're
on,
trying to get on PC.
it would have to be on the agenda by this Wednesday. But we can continue it. We can still put it on the agenda and then continue it in planning commission. But that'll push it back to January 18th. Is Aaron on vacation this week also?
No, his wife had surgery, so he's
Oh,
working
no.
remote.
Oh, okay. So in the red lines, it was brought up about the age, and they said that they would go with anyone who was on their waiting list with priority to 55 plus, but that doesn't bind them to being 55 plus.
Planning commission's on the 7th, so yeah, didn't miss it until January. I guess we could pass a motion that sets that age limit in that building.
My motion I would make is that we continue this. I don't feel comfortable moving forward with it without knowing the agreement. I've not seen an agreement.
Politically, if this isn't on in December, it could be pretty ugly, but we don't have enough information.
I think Steve sent me, didn't he send you a copy of the agreement? I can forward you a copy of the agreement. Because I think Steve,
Let me see what the agreement says in it pertaining to that language. I've got a copy of it here. Pull it up, see if I can get it to pull up. All right, so here's some clarification in an email from Jeremy to Steve. The Housing Authority will concede to the one-person limitation to address the city's parking concern, provided Utah Housing Corporation doesn't have any concerns. They will seek their consent and get back to you. In the meantime, let's presume UHC will be okay with the limitation of one individual occupant in the 21 studio units. We're willing to concede to this new operating restriction in exchange to preserving the terms of the original agreement unchanged or not impacted by this second amendment to agreement. So that answers the parking question. Okay, let me see if I can get his agreement up and find that specific spot.
want me to go on and while you look for it, or?
I'm almost there. I've got it out.
Okay, the Grant's not on, is he?
Reaching out to Aaron right now to see if he has anything for Steve on this.
Looks so nice. Yeah. Right?
So we have new section 22 original agreement. It says, notwithstanding anything in this agreement to the contrary, the main center portion of the project may also be occupied by individuals with autism who have graduated from the Scenic View Academy program, or individuals with autism or equivalent program and who are capable of independent living. This section does not apply to the apartment units, which shall continue to be occupied solely by low and moderate income elderly persons as defined by and required in the original agreement. There is no requirement that any level of care be provided for either the occupants of the studio units or the apartment units. So I don't see an age tied to it at all. In fact, it's an extremely simple agreement. That's it.
Is that probably Steve?
That's Steve's agreement he sent to him. So I don't think the age thing matters. It sounds like it's either autistic kids or seniors 55 and plus and be in the studio units.
And I like that it's narrowed to the neurodiversity aspect, so it's not going to be open to anybody else.
Yeah, doesn't look like it. So I think we're okay. I think those questions are answered for me.
Is that age range just a reference to what?
And Brian,
That's what he does,
something that
yeah?
Steve
I
prepared.
think it's a reference
Yeah.
to what ages.
Yeah,
are
this
allowed in
was
it
written by Steve.
In the Provo program.
Based on how I understood.
It doesn't necessarily apply to who's allowed on the property, it's just reference.
So let me read this. This is the start of Steve's email to Jeremy, who represents this group. Attached is a draft of an amendment to the 1993 agreement. This amendment would allow the main center studio units to be occupied by individuals with autism who have graduated from the SVA program or equivalent with no age restriction. So that's, it's amended to allow that. Very simple. For those of you that don't know how this all, somehow back in 1993, the city actually owned this land and partnered with this original developer to create this development. And so they have this agreement between the city and the current owner to operate as a 55 and plus facility. That gentleman has owned it ever since it was created. He's selling it, and this the Housing Authority of Utah County is buying it to add to their portfolio. So that's some background on how we got to where we're at. And they don't operate assisted living facilities like this main building is set up now. So that's how we got here.
And
Okay.
none of this will affect the other buildings. This only affects the one building.
And the site won't change at all. Nothing will be done physically to the site. So we've had to run this through as a DRC item because we didn't really have a process in place to modify this agreement that is technically a zone change. That's how we got here. So with
Thank you.
that, any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion? I'll make the motion. DRC moves to amend the agreement dated October 22nd, 1993, relating to the property located generally at 380 East, 240 North, to modify certain use and occupancy restrictions pertaining to the subject property. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jake seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Right. The last one is a general plan map amendment for State Street. I don't know if you remember back in February, the city council took away the State Street districts. However, the general plan map never changed. So this is what it currently looks like, and it still outlines those 5 State Street districts in blue. So we're proposing to change it back to C2, a community commercial. And do you have any questions on any of that? It's basically just a paperwork thing. Okay, that's all I have.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve the DRC moves to amend the Orem general plan map by amending the land use designation on State Street from the mixed use district designation, to the community commercial designation.
For a second?
I'll second.
For a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes that Cheryl sent out last week? Any revisions requested? Anyone want a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the November 7th, is that right?
Mhm.
Minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I'll move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Who seconded that?
4 of us. I'll claim it.
Rick will claim
All in
it.
favor? Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
That was one of
you.
our more lively ones.
Yeah.